All right, man. So, what's going on, dude?
Not too much, not too much.
You threw a good idea at me the other day, and want you to kind of throw that out to our millions and millions here
All right, to
of our
the
Steve
to the
Jeltz fans.
rabid the rabid Jeltzers out there. So, as we stand today, all of our teams are in. I don't want to say all in great shape because obviously, the Flyers are in a rebuilding phase, but the Eagles are doing really well. The Sixers have started out like a house on fire. Getting rid of James Harden really seems to have lit it underneath them.
Yeah,
Phillies are coming off a heartbreaking loss in the NLCS after going to the World Series the year before. So three of the four teams are in really, really good spots. And honestly, the Flyers aren't in as terrible. Their record is not good at this point. They started off
hmm
good and they kind of fell off. Um, they're not good, but they're not they're on the upswing, I'll say. Um,
right.
so what I started thinking about, and this was actually uh, brought to mind by watching a, a highlight video of Brian Dawkins, and I started thinking, man, what if what if he was on the Eagles today? You know, that would be insane. But then I started thinking about it, and I'm like, well, his game doesn't really translate right now to the way the league is, but what player could I take from Philly history for each of the four major sports, pluck them from their team, drop them in their prime on today's teams, and have them be able to make an immediate and noticeable impact? And so that's kind of what brought this one up. Um, was just watching Doc do his thing. And so that's uh that's where that's where this one started. So
Yeah, I love this concept. Now, how do you want to do this? Do you want to start with our teams that are in the better position? And I say better position, meaning Eagles, Phillies interchangeably, Sixers, then Flyers, or do you want to go vice versa?
yeah, that's actually kind of how I had it written down on my sheet here. So I've got some stats for some of the players. I don't have stats for some of the other ones. It was just more,
Yeah, so no,
what
I've got thoughts on all four. My Flyers is not anything great, but I do have some good ones for um, for the Sixers, Eagles, and Phillies. So however you want to go, let's do this.
all right, man. You want to kick it off? Or you want me to?
Go for it. You go first, then I'll chime in with my half-ass answer.
All right. So obviously for the Eagles, there's a couple easy answers. You can get Brian Dawkins, you can get Reggie White, Jerome Brown, Chuck Bednarik. Like I said, I came up with this while watching Dawkins highlights, and I started thinking about really where these players would fit, how they would fit in. Reggie White, one of the best defensive ends of all time. Um, we've got good edge rushers.
Hmm.
Obviously, nobody as dominant as Reggie White. Nobody's going to be as dominant as him, but that's not a position of need right now. Jerome Brown, again, a game wrecker. But I feel like we have Jerome Brown reincarnated in Jalen Carter.
Right.
And between him and Jordan Davis, that's not really what we need. Chuck Bednarik, again, another defensive stalwart, but I feel like he's a guy that kind of like Dawkins, his his play style wouldn't really fly in the NFL as it stands. So I went with Eric Allen.
I knew you were going to go corner, and that's yeah.
And so I figure that the cornerback right now really is the biggest need for this team. Linebacker would be a close second. But so out of all of the cornerbacks that are in the Hall of Fame, Eric Allen has more total interceptions than 22 of them.
Yeah, which is
He's
insane.
only 15 have more than him. His final stat line as a player was 54 interceptions, 8 touchdowns, 6 Pro Bowls, 4 postseason interceptions, 5 seasons with 5 or more interceptions. In his career, he played in 216 out of a possible 224 games.
It's so crazy.
Right? So now for comparison, as far as, you know, why he should be in the Hall of Fame, and I got this from, Ruben Frank. He did an article on NBC Sports Philly, and Rondé Barber was inducted into the Hall of Fame recently. His career stat line, 47 interceptions, 8 touchdowns, 5 Pro Bowl nods, 2 postseason interceptions, and only 2 seasons with 5 or more interceptions. So not even close. Allen smokes him.
Yeah.
So, you know, when I look at the current Eagles defense, Eric Allen would make the defense so much better.
Yeah,
He's
no,
an incredible talent.
that your answer is like not shocking to me because like in the top of my head, I was like, position of need is obviously corner. I mean, that's just obvious, you know, and that I think we all knew that going into the season, and it's very on the surface now. So yeah, that's like the perfect answer. It really is. And
And
that's
I thought about going like Troy Vincent. I thought about going Asante Samuel. But ultimately, when I thought back to the best Eagles cornerback that I've ever seen play, I always come back to Eric Allen.
okay. So I was thinking corner as well. Obviously, Eric Allen's name was top of my head. So Troy Vincent obviously would be my pick there. However, I'll switch gears here because we I think we both agree that Eric Allen would make this team like ultimately better right off the bat.
Yeah.
So I'm going to switch gears and I'm going to look at another position of need in my mind that we haven't had anyone great within the last few years. But someone in his prime that I would love returning kicks, punts, whatever, is Darren Sproles. And I just want him or somebody that's not, you know, just somebody electric, you know, that has that ability to give us that spark one every 4 games. Let's run it back for a touchdown.
Yeah. No. I get that. And that's a good one, too. I mean, there's so many different ways we could have gone with this. We could have gone Brian Mitchell.
Yeah, I thought about him too. Sproles to me was or even good old Vi.
Yeah.
But Sproles to me, because of his recent tenure through the Super Bowl, champion team. So it's like, I keep saying this with the Phillies, and it's like the Phillies offseason, they need to look at winners.
Right.
People that win. And to me, Darren Sproles is a winner. So that's who I want on the team. I want a winner. I want somebody in his prime, obviously, like this whole, this whole thing goes, not Darren Sproles now.
Right. Yeah. And that's the thing too. Like, I mean, looking at the team, we could have gone linebacker. We could have gone with we could have gone Bill Berge, if you want to go way back. We could have gone Seth Joyner. We could have gone William Thomas. We could have gone Byron Evans.
Oh yeah.
There's a plethora of great linebackers. Jeremiah Trotter. Now Trot, I feel like would be along the same lines as Dawkins at this point, where he's just a little too violent. Him and Seth. But
right.
Guys like Byron Evans and Willie T would have been fantastic. But like I said, ultimately I went with Eric Allen, and so Darren Sproles is a great choice too, because look, nobody wants to give Britton Covey any respect as far as how him as a returner. He's a good returner.
He
really is.
Yeah, he is. But I'm not dumping on him, but
he's not a game breaker.
No, that's where I was going at with that in my head. He's not electric. He just knock on wood, he doesn't screw up too much. And that's me. And he's just a solid player, but that's where it stops with him.
Right. Nope. Yeah, correct.
It's not like watching and I think back of some of these guys that are just like, video game players, like, man, it's like, oh yeah, every time I throw or I see a pass throw to Tyreek Hill, it's like a video game,
Yeah.
or those type of players. And I'm not expecting that from Britain at all. I'm not expecting that, but I would love to have that because Darren Sproles was Tyreek Hill.
Yeah.
He was a video game player. Like he could make those crazy moves and cuts, and then he was fast as hell too. Like just run down the field. But no, that was kind of where I was at in my head with it, because otherwise it was like maybe just a better punter.
Yeah. I mean, that
give
would
me
be
Sean
helpful.
Landetta.
Yeah. Can we get? Hey, no, just go back a couple years when we had Cameron Johnston.
Exactly, like
Yeah,
anybody, All
all
right,
right.
so did the Eagles. Let's. I'm really curious to see what your pick is for the Phillies here.
So this is another one where dude, there were so many different ways I was going to go with this one. Obviously Mike Schmidt comes up.
Right.
Steve Carlton, Cole Hamels, Roy Halladay, Robin Roberts, like helping the rotation. Ultimately, I started thinking Greg Luzinski, Gary Maddox, before I settled on my selection, center fielder Richie Ashburn.
Ooh, nice.
And
I like it.
so, you and I have been talking about outfield, off pod, all off season. Well, shit, since the playoffs are still going on. And I started thinking about it. I'm like, well, this dude is a career 308 hitter, 6-time All-Star, 2-time National League batting champion, led the league in stolen bases in 1948, had 2,574 career hits, and was an incredible fielder. We put him in center. Mm-hmm. Marsh goes to left. Sign Ohtani for right.
Boom. Yeah, boom. That'd be awesome.
That's it.
That would be awesome.
Obviously we got to get some starting pitching, but I just, and then you could drop him. Look, Schwarber in the leadoff position has been great, right? Put Richie Ashburn in the leadoff position.
Yeah.
Guaranteed base runner.
Yeah, no, dude, I love it. I love it because let's look up real quick, because Richie Ashburn's penultimate Hall of Famer for the Philadelphia Phillies. I got to meet him in the mid '90s. I love this. I just love that answer, man. The guy was a career 300 hitter, 308. Was not a power hitter.
No, he only had like 7 home runs career, I think.
29.
29.
But the guy got on base so much that he led the league 4 times in on base percentage. So that's what the Phillies need. They need base runners, and I love that outfield, by the way. My goodness, I kind of feel like having that outfield in MLB The Show. That's right? It's ridiculous.
Just saying.
It's funny because my answer, I thought about that too, because initially immediately in my head I was like Steve Carlton, especially if Nola's gone. We need a top of the rotation guy, and I love Wheeler, and I love Ranger, and I think we're getting some good work out of Christopher Sanchez, and so I think Carlton would be the stabilizer there, especially if Nola's gone.
Right.
But I'm not going to take the cheap way out on that one. I'm going to go with somebody that, and I hate this because it would kick someone off the team, but I'm going to put Pete Rose at third base because the guy just gets on base all the time. Yeah. I mean, he's the all-time hits leader. Yeah. So
dude, I can't argue with it.
And he played third base for the Phillies quite a bit back in the late 70s. So I believe to a point of, let's see, I was looking at it. It's weird. I was surprised on how much he played third base for the Phillies. I was looking at his fielding record because I was actually shocked how much it was. He played not a lot. I'm sorry. He played 5 games at third base for the 79 Phillies. Which was a lot to me considering that Mike Schmidt was our third baseman. But
yeah.
But it was enough for me to say, okay, look, Bohm, you're gone. I love Mike Schmidt. but I want a guy that gets on base and a guy that hustles. And could you imagine having Bryce and Pete Rose on the same team?
Jesus. Well, dude, and see, now playing off of what I had said, so now we've got Pete Rose. Bohm is expendable. We trade Bohm to the Angels and we get Otani. Oh wait, no, Otani's a free agent. So
He's free agent, so we don't have to trade him. Bohm can be a good. He can just be a good cheerleader in the
we
clubhouse.
trade Trey Turner.
No, no. Here. Okay, so I know this isn't really part of the thing, but this is what kind of sucks because that's the part you got to think about with this. It's like who's expendable,
Right.
And yeah, you mess around with the outfield there, which makes sense. I mean, that's probably your best way to do it. But like, obviously, you can't touch Harper, and you're not going to touch Stott, and you're not going to touch Turner and JT and these other guys. You're just not going to do it. And I've in my head, if anyone moves any recent time, it's probably going to be Bohm, I would think. Still young enough at a desirable position. Whether he does or not, I don't know. But I just, in my head, that's kind of where it's at. But yeah, I don't know. I just, I don't know. Pete Rose, man. Maybe one of these days I'll let his ass in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, maybe. I think he's going to be after he dies. And the reason I say that is because at that point he can stop making stupid ass decisions.
Yeah,
like
good point.
Because that's his problem, man. I feel like every time they get close to like, all right, we'll let you in, then he gropes a 15-year-old, and then it's like, all right, well, maybe we're not going to let you in, bud.
Yeah,
like that's my problem with Pete Rose is he can't get out of his own fucking way.
Yeah, you're not wrong. You're not wrong. All right, so we're saving the Flyers for last. Obviously, we started at the top and working our way down, but we got to say something, man. The Philadelphia 76ers have been on fire.
Oh, hell yeah.
And good riddance, James Harden. I don't care what you're doing these days because we don't need you.
Right.
And I'm not a basketball guy. I watch college ball sometimes, but man, the Sixers just killing it, and it's been fun. I watched a little bit the other night of the Celtics game because I knew that'd be a good one. And yeah, man, they it was a close game at the end, but yeah, no, it was good. They I tell you what, man, it's been fun.
Yeah, no, they're
Embiid, Maxey, and
team.
yeah, you just have some solid guys there. So I have a cheap answer for this one. So I'm just going to spill the beans here, man. I got to just give me Dr. J.
That's who I said.
I'm sorry. But like we got Maxey at points. So I was like, I can't just slot him in for AI. That ain't right. I love Allen Iverson. I really would like his spark, but I don't know that he's needed. But my God, man, throw Dr. J out there.
Yeah.
Good Lord.
I mean, look, I'm not going to sit here and pretend to be a student of the game. Basketball is the sport out of the major four that I know the least about. The only four players I felt comfortable saying here would have been Dr. J, Charles Barkley, AI, maybe Wilt Chamberlain.
Oh, yeah.
Today, we have Embiid and Wilt, right?
Yeah.
So I'm going with Dr. J. He added to this team, and look, in the NBA, he averaged 22 points a game, right? He averaged 3.9 assists. He averaged 1.5 blocks. He was never a big defensive player. Offensively is where he really went off. And he played a total of, he played 5 seasons in the ABA, and he played 11 seasons with the Sixers. So his NBA career, like I said, 22. If you add in total, he was at 24.2 points per game. Right?
Yeah. He wasn't.
I'll take that every day.
Yeah, yeah. He wasn't like a bona fide, he's not LeBron. He's not Michael Jordan, by number,
Right.
at all. But yeah, you go through his numbers there with ABA and NBA combined, and he's at 24-2, 8.5 rebounds, 4 assists, like you said. And you're talking about a Hall of Famer, 16-time All-Star, NBA champ, 2-time ABA champ, 4-time MVP. I mean, this guy was legit.
Right.
And he is a Philadelphia icon, at least in basketball, almost second to none. Because really, I mean, Sixers and world titles aren't necessarily synonymous with each other.
Mm-mm.
And the really the only time it is with that man right there. So he's a winner. And as I've said to you on and off pod before, is that's what Philly needs is winners. And yeah, all day long.
Yeah.
Either him or Charles Shackelford.
Right. Yeah, Charles Shackelford. I'd rather just, punch myself in the dick repeatedly and shout Jumanji.
The other guy I thought about was Manute Bol.
Well, of course. What other Sixers have ever had a song written about
him? I mean, but no, I mean, see, and that's a sad thing. It's like you end up thinking about other guys that you could try to fit in, and he's the only one that makes sense. Now, Will Chamberlain I do like,
Yeah,
but with Embiid in there, it's kind of
right, kind of pointless. And then again, Dikembe Mutombo for his defense, but that's it.
Yeah,
he's not putting up points for you every night.
No.
There was a time where he would, but towards the end of his career, he just, well, you know what? Let's see. I'm going to look him up on Basketball Reference because I remember him being like a huge, his rookie card was one that people were clamoring for, and I ended up grabbing one.
Man, I tried typing in Cookie Monster on Basketball Reference and they come up.
So let's look at what his highest average points per game came in his rookie year, 16.6 points per game.
His career, he averaged more rebounds than points per game. That's awesome.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. He was definitely a defensive player. Like that was his whole deal. And his career high in points ever was 39. His career high in rebounds in a game was 31. So, he's...
it's crazy too. And this is the thing with him. And here's the crazy, and this, I don't know, man. This could be a whole nother conversation for another day. And we don't talk Sixers on here ever, but that guy only even played with the Sixers for a season and like a third. And yet he's synonymous with some of the best Sixers of all time.
Yeah.
He played 26 games in 2001 season after starting the season with Atlanta. And then he played that whole 2001 and 2002, which was a phenomenal season for the Sixers. But that was it. He was done. And yet he is known, like, look, as far as your casual Philly 76ers fans that are our age, dude, he's got to be a top 10 player that comes to someone's mind.
Yeah.
Got to be.
Here's something that's incredibly strange. He played from when he was 25 until when he was 42. He never attempted a three-pointer.
They probably didn't let him.
Yeah. I mean, I can't imagine they did, but he literally never attempted a three-pointer. Unless he, well.
No, he did. He did. No, he did twice.
Two.
He did two. That's it. He attempted 2 3-pointers early in his career, one in his third year in the league, and then it was both times with Denver.
Yeah, I see that.
And that's it.
I see that, but I don't see, like, the 3-point attempt is still showing 0.0.
No, Go down to total.
Oh, per
Scroll down.
game.
Yeah, scroll down.
Oh, that's his
Yeah.
per game. Okay.
Yeah. So two in the regular season. Oh, he actually tried one. Oh, he did try a 3-pointer
Yeah.
with the Sixers in the playoffs. That's right.
Yeah. So he tried, yeah, one in the playoffs with the Sixers and
And
then
two in his
two
career, and
with
he
the
played
Nuggets.
for he played I guess what 1,200 games of basketball, and three.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Jesus Christ.
He basically attempted one 3-pointer every 400 games.
Yeah, enough. That's enough for me. Yeah.
All right. Last but not least, and you got to start us off here because you're going to be the brains on this one, and I'm just going to be the comedic cleanup because I really don't have anything for the Philadelphia Flyers.
You said
You're the
gritty,
hockey
didn't
guy.
you? You said gritty, didn't you?
Damn it. Not supposed to steal my answer.
So, all right.
That
So
would be awesome. Think about that. How awesome that would be.
fucking look, if I turn my head and I see gritty skating towards me, I'm scared.
I'm getting off the ice.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true.
Open net, 100
net.
to nothing every game.
Yeah. So this is another situation where there's a lot of players that I really feel like could help the team, but it's an issue of eras again.
Mm-hmm.
And when the Flyers had their glory years, when they were the best team in the league, when they were their best, it was a different game. You know, really anybody from the Broad Street Bullies era, aside from Bernie Perrant, would probably be kicked out of the league.
Yeah, no kidding.
Right. John LeClaire would probably be good. Keith Primo, Rod Brindamore, Eric Desjardins, Mark Recchi would probably be good. Danny Briere, if he played his entire career in this era, would probably be a superstar.
Mm-hmm.
But at the end of the day, there's still just one player that is unlike any other that I've ever seen in my entire life suit up for the Flyers. And unfortunately, there was a time period where I didn't, what's the word I'm looking for here? I didn't recognize what I was seeing and the situation that he was put into. And so I didn't appreciate him as much. But at the end of the day, the player that could make the biggest impact on this team would be Eric Lindros. The perfect combination of size, speed, scoring. He would be the perfect player for this team to build around. He's Ovechkin.
That was exactly what I was going to say, to be honest with you. I know the Flyers' needs right now are not defensively per se, and I mean, it could be, and not goaltending. So it's got to be center. It's got to be a winger. It's got to be somebody front and center, offensive-minded. Lindros was the only one that came to mind for me. You mentioned other names too. Honestly, if I'm just throwing someone out there, John LeClaire really sticks in my head. But no, Lindros for me too. I just don't know. Kind of like the Dr. J.
Yeah.
And I know that sounds funny because I know Eric Lindros doesn't necessarily get the same level of respect, to me anyway,
right,
that a Dr. J does. But in this case, all day long, Eric.
I mean, and that's the horrible thing is between his parents and Bobby Clark not seeing eye to eye, it really screwed over his legacy in Philly for a long time. And luckily, we're finally starting to see that cloud kind of lift. And he's been around for some different things that the team has done, and they've honored him, and kind of really seem not they've kind of mended fences a little bit. And I like to see that because I was guilty of it. I was when his stuff was going on, I was young and just a rabid fan of the team and not really thinking that they could do anything wrong or that they would do anything wrong. And so, he's a sissy. He's this, he's that. He's not doing he's not being a good teammate. He's not being a good team player. There were other things in play. There were other things going on. He really got a raw deal. And the fact that, I mean, shit, during the Eastern Conference Finals when Scott Stevens essentially ended his Flyers career. He comes back and then gets hit in the head and gets a concussion, and he's done during these
Right.
miles. And then the Devils end up running over us the rest of the way. The guy got a raw deal, but while he was on top of his game, give me a better player.
I know. No,
Lemieux?
yeah,
Right.
yeah. You're not wrong. I mean, I'll be honest with you, like, because I'm thinking of like Flyers needs offensively. Like, I thought of him, and I know it's going to sound funny, but it counts. Is I thought of Yamir.
Yeah. No, because we're doing in their prime.
Right. So
So
it's like
Yamir
I
Yager in his
know
prime.
we didn't necessarily have Yamir in his prime, but of course that dude was so good for so long that it I guess that's even debatable. But no, I mean, I don't know who else you really do other than Eric on that. I really don't. Um he was I mean, you remember when he came in, man, he was like the golden goose,
Right.
and it's funny thinking about back to the Phillies, kind of what you said. I know it's the same vein, but I was really a stickler for third base. And as much as I wanted to say slap Mike Schmidt there, part of me wanted to slap Scott Rowland there.
Oh yeah, he's one that I I've gotten over the Lindros thing and recognized his talent. Scotty Rowland, if I'm playing a baseball game that he's in, I'm still fucking pegging him. I'm beating the shit out of him every time he comes to bat. Him and JD
Yeah.
Drew. I will never
Well,
forgive
yeah.
either one of them.
Yeah. JD Drew and whatever. Yeah.
I'm throwing at their heads every time.